Hi, welcome back. So this is the second part in our video tutorial to make our cat hat. So in the beginning, our first part, we made the start of our basic hat. So we had made 6 rows of this circle, which is the top of the hat. And just to remind you that there are 10 double crochet stitches on the first, 20 on the second, 30 on the third row, 40 on the fourth row. So essentially we just increase the number of stitches every time we go one row up. On the sixth row, what we did was, just to remind you, we did, I think, 9 double crochet stitches. And then on the 10th count, we worked 2 double crochet stitches. So it's like we increased the number of stitches by simply working in 2 double crochet stitches. And we continued that pattern all the way around row number 6. For row number 7, we did how many individual double crochet stitches? We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 double crochet stitches. And on the 11th stitch, we increased the number of stitches by working in 2 double crochet stitches. And we continue with row number 7. So again, we're going to work in 10 single double crochet stitches. Okay, so just not to confuse you, when I say single, we're not doubling up on the number of stitches for that particular pattern. Okay. Now, that's the nice thing about double crochet stitches, is that they are big enough that it's easy to count them, as against, let's say, single crochet stitches or slip stitches. It's trickier to count. Okay. Right. Let's see how many we've done. So I simply just look for the increase in double crochet stitches, which is that one. So that's the end of the first part of the pattern, and I'm going to count from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10. We needed 10 double crochet stitches. Okay, 1:1. And then here, so I already made this one double crochet stitch, and I want to increase by working another double crochet stitch in the same space. Okay. And you keep doing that. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then on the next one, we're going to work 2 double crochet stitches. Now here's a trick that I've discovered. Okay, I didn't invent it, I discovered it. So if you know that's the pattern you're making, and you know that you're actually, what we're doing is we're increasing the stitches in the same stitch as the previous row, we have these 2 double crochet stitches, not on the first double crochet, but on the second double crochet. So if you know exactly where that is, so for example, for the next part of the pattern, essentially, I think it's the last one. So if you look at the previous row, they're all 1 double crochet stitches until you get here. That's 2 double crochet stitches. So you know that you're going to increase the number of stitches in this particular stitch. Okay. But if you're anything like me, I like to count. It relaxes me. Somehow it does. It's like one of those things. It's like a repetitive thing that relaxes me. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then it's going back to that. You see, that's the 2 double crochet stitches, and I'm going to double up on the second one. So I'm going to work in 2 double crochet stitches, and that's going to be the last stitch of the row. Okay, sometimes my yarn gets snagged, so I'm going to repeat that. Okay, and then we're going to close that row by simply looking for the first double crochet stitch, which is this one. Insert your hook and slip stitch. Okay, so that is 7 rows. If I'm making like for a hat for a, let's say a 2-year-old, yeah, approximately a 2-year-old, my 2-year-old anyway, and she's on the slight side, she's on a small side, and I would stop here. If I was making if I were making a cat hat for, let's say, a teenager, I would probably increase it, this increased section of the hat, by 2 more rows. If I'm making one for a larger person, let's say myself, or let's say my husband, like he would like a cat hat, he might. Then I would increase it maybe by 3 or 4 more rows. So let's say I'm making this hat for a 2-year-old. Okay, so I'm going to stop increasing the number of stitches for every row. So that's 7 rows, and every time we go 1 row up, I increase the number of stitches. If you want to make a hat, let's say for a quite a large child, let's say a 6-year-old or maybe an 8-year-old, do another row, okay, that you're increasing. So what happens is you're going to do 11 single crochet stitches, and then when you get to this stitch, you're going to double up on that one. So it's 11 double crochet stitches, and then increase on the 12th stitch, and then keep doing that. 11 double crochet stitches, and then increase on the 12th stitch. 11 double crochet stitches, and then increase on the 12th stitch, and so on and so forth. But for this demonstration purpose, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to stop increasing the number of stitches and stick to the number of stitches of the previous row. So rows number 7, or the row number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on and so forth will be the same number of stitches as row number 7. So we're going to do our turning chain, and we're going to work our first double crochet stitch, and then we're going to work 1 double crochet stitch in every stitch around. So let's say if you had, okay, I'm not gonna be giving you an accurate number. Let's say you had 52 stitches in row number 7. Let's say, okay, it's probably wrong. If you had 52 stitches in row number 7, you should have 52 stitches in row numbers 8, 9, 10, 11, and so on and so forth. Okay. So we have stopped, at this point, we have stopped increasing the number of stitches every time we move 1 row up. I suppose if you're looking at a person's head, this is the part where the head has stopped. I suppose like increasing the like tapering. So from the crown of the head, yeah, if you put your hand over somebody's head, you know that the head goes bigger, 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 and it stops increasing, and then it sort of just tapers. Yeah. Okay. So after this part, after we increase the number of stitches, it gets really simple because you don't really have to count. You just keep making one stitch, one is to one stitch. Yeah. Okay. Right. So how do we know when to stop? Uh, when to stop making the basic hat? I mean, like so we are row number 8. Well, when do we stop? Do we stop at row 12? Do we stop at row 11? Okay. So again, goes back to who are you making the hat for? So I have a chart. I normally have a chart in every, well, I use it for my own purposes, and for every product that I make, like for hats, there's always a chart in my product listing, and it gives you the average size. For example, for a toddler, the circumference of the head is such, and then the diameter of the crown is as such, and then the size, the height between the crown and the middle of the ear is so and so. Okay, so those are just average sizes, standard sizes. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep making this 1:1 stitches up to a point wherein we're going to stop. We're going to measure and test. Okay, is this the right size? What is the height between the crown and the middle of the ear or bottom of the ear? Okay. I mean, I've been making hats for a while now, that it's sort of second nature to me. Like, okay, this person wants this hat in this size, so this is how I'm going to make the hat. It's going to be into row 12, So I already know, but of course I had to start from somewhere. And that somewhere is the chart. I had to look for a chart that had a proper sizing for hats. Okay, so I'm now at row number 9. It's the same process. Okay. So we're gonna take a look at the chart later. I will link the chart that I use in this in the description in this video, so you know what I mean. So for this demonstration, let's say we are making a hat for, oops, sorry. Let's say we're making a hat for a small child. Let's say not a toddler. Um, Maybe for a 2-year-old, that would be a good example. Remember, it really, practice makes perfect. Well, practice is everything. Um, it doesn't harm anybody if you make a mistake. When you make a mistake, then you just make another one. I mean, as long as you're not um, forcing anyone to wear a hat that doesn't fit them, it doesn't hurt anyone. It's good practice for you. So if you make a hat that's too big or too small, and I just start again, make another one. That hat that was the wrong size for whoever you made it for, then give it to somebody else. All right, so that's row number 9. Then we're going to go to row 10. So it's all double crochet stitch. Are there hats that use other stitches? Absolutely. I mean, if I want my hat to look a little bit tighter, I would use a half double crochet stitch. If I need a hat that's really, really tight, or more specifically, if the shape of the hat is as complex, let's say, as my shark hat, which I make constantly because people really like that hat, then yes, I would use single crochet stitch, because if you use single crochet stitch, then you could adapt the shape, a really complicated shape, and of course you can imagine the pattern is even more complicated. But this is, I think, double crochet stitch is my favorite stitch to make a hat with, just because it just grows so fast. See, we are already at row 10. Of course, I don't expect everybody to be as fast as this. That's what's great about YouTube videos, is that you can just stop, pause, rewind, go back to this again when you're ready. You know, I mean, I'm hoping that this channel is still going to be available when you're ready, and that's what I intend to do, to create videos so that you can go back to it when you're ready. You can keep watching it, you can keep pausing, rewinding, and you can even ask me questions and maybe ask me, hey, that part in the video, I couldn't really understand that. Could you explain to me what exactly you were doing and why you were doing it? So you could definitely contact me by posting a comment on this video, or you can head over to our Facebook page. So the name of our Facebook page is Cris Crochet Shop. I also have a website. Website is CRIS. It's my name. chriscrochet.co.uk. It isn't just a shop. I have a list of tutorials, my favorite ones, which are actually not mine. When I started out crocheting, I was following a couple of crochet gurus, and one of them is Tamara Kelly. She definitely is one of my favorite crocheters online. She's got a bunch of really useful tips and videos. So this is row number 11. And we're going to stop at row number 12 after we do row number 12, and then we're going to measure. So for any hat, making the base of the hat. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me just qualify that statement. For any of the hats that I normally make, the base of the hat is just half the job. For me, it's the easiest part. for most of the hats. The other half is decorating it. In fact, you have to, like, I have to concentrate on the second part of making a hat because that's the intricate part, is making the faces, I suppose. The face of a cat in this instance. But this one, making the base, since I've been doing it so many times, I can just do it when I don't need to think so much. I don't need to concentrate. I could do this watching a movie, if people don't mind that there's lights on. Or let's say I was still living in London, which I used to. I could make this while I'm in the tube, riding the train. Because this part here, for me, takes a very small amount of thinking. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that I've never made a mistake making this part of the hat, because I have. And then I get back home and I realize, I seem to have made a mistake in this part of the hat. Now I'm going to have to do this all over again. But, for the most part, making the base of the hat is quite simple. It's relaxing. Okay, so where am I? See, sometimes I lose count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, see, I miscounted. This is 11. Keep missing that stitch. Okay, so let's aim to at least finish the base, this basic part of the hat for this part of the video, so that we can go on to decorating our hat in part 3. In part 3, we're going to make the ears, and then put the trimming, like the lower part of the hat where you have the, in our example, the gray pink hat, it would be the pink edging of the lower part of the hat. And I'm thinking maybe the face might be already part 4, but we'll see. See, I told you, making the base of the hat is just half the job. Okay. Now there's two, when I say ears, let me just clarify that. We have the cat's ears, which goes at the top of the hat. And then we've got that part of the hat that covers the person who's wearing it, the person's ears, the ear flaps. Okay, so the ear flaps go with the base of the hat. Okay, that's the basic part as well. And it's simple, really. So when we're making the crown of the hat, we're increasing the number of stitches. But when we get to the ear flaps, okay, we are going to be introducing the decrease in stitches. And at least for this particular hat, instead of using double crochet stitches, we're going to be using single crochet stitches. Again, as a reminder, we're using US crochet terms. Okay. All right, row number 12, I think. You can always count. I think this is 12. And then let's measure this. So have a tape measure in hand. If you don't, just pause this, get your tape measure. Okay, and then I'm gonna go look at my chart in a minute and see what the length between the crown, or the top, not the crown, the top of the hat up to the top of the ear or middle of the ear. I like to give a little oversizing to my hats. Is that even a word? So let's say the hat should be 15 centimeters in a certain dimension. I would like to add a little bit more. I'd rather that the hat would be a little bit oversized than undersized. I think mostly because I make hats for children, and children are still growing, so you'd like to extend the life of that hat. And parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles, they do appreciate that you do that. Like, oh yes, this hat for my 4-year-old niece. She's going to be wearing this until she's 12. Of course, don't overdo it. You know, if you have a toddler, don't give him a hat that's for a 30-year-old. Because it's, first and foremost, it is unsafe. All right, so I'm getting there. We are going to go over the 30-minute mark for this video, and that's all right. If you want to take a break, which I highly recommend when you're crocheting, the exercises that I would recommend, and I had to find this out for a couple of years, I recommend walking around. I also recommend yoga or any sort of stretching exercises. It doesn't have to be yoga. It can be Pilates. It could just be an ordinary stretching exercises with no name on it, you know. But I do a bit of yoga, and it does help me a lot. I've had to go to a therapist because I've injured my right shoulder crocheting so much. And after a while, I stopped seeing the therapist because I discovered that yoga did wonders for me. So let's say that is row 12. I'm going to go look for my tape measure, and I know exactly where it is. And we are going to work in centimeters. Okay. So top of the hat, which is there, put that end there. Make sure there's no stretching or crimping. And this is 18 centimeters. Okay, if I move it a little bit, it's about 17 and a half. Okay, 17 and a half centimeters. And what that means, so I'm going to look at my chart right now. Okay. Which you can find in the description, by the way. So that would lead you to the head sizing guide on my website. Right. So if I'm making one for a 2-year-old, length, which is from the crown to the base of the ear, should be 18 centimeters. Or if you look down on the chart, like on the bottom, it says that's 16. So 16. So I've overdone it a little bit, which is not much really. So middle ear to crown is what I really work with normally. And if I'm really strict with myself, I would probably leave it at that, because if I did 16, it's gonna end up at the middle of the previous row, which means it's not gonna be enough. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna stop there in terms of increasing the number of rows, and I'm going to start making the ear flap. So what I do is, for this size hat, I'm going to make 10 single crochet stitches after row number 12. So I'm going to do a turning chain, which is a single chain, and then work single crochet stitch here. So you are going to end up with 10 single crochet stitches. So I think that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And then stop there and then turn your work. And then you're going to do a turning chain, so which is 1 chain. And then this is where we're going to be decreasing stitches. To decrease a single crochet, you insert your hook in the first stitch, yarn over and pull through. And then you're going to insert your hook in the second stitch, yarn over and pull through. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. And then you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to pull that through all 3 stitches to make your decrease in single crochet stitch. And then you're going to do 6 single crochet stitches. No, sorry. That should be, I am correct. It is 8 single crochet stitches. So you end up with 9 single crochet stitches. So start with 10, and then now it's 9, and then you're going to turn your work to a single chain stitch, and then you're going to decrease again. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook. And then you're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochet stitches. So you see a pattern here. Okay, so it's like a repeating pattern, only that every row that you go up, you do work less number of stitches. Turn your work, chain 1, that's your turning chain, and do a decrease in single crochet again, and then single crochet all the way to the end of that row. Turn your work, chain 1, decrease single crochet, and then single crochet into the end of the row. So keep doing this until you end up with a single crochet stitch at the end. So decrease in single crochet, single crochet to the end. 2, 3, 4. Turn your work, chain 1. So again, how do we decrease single crochet? Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through the all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, and then single crochet to the end of your row. And then do the same thing. Turn your work, chain 1, decrease single crochet, and then single crochet to the end. See, we're getting to the tip of the ear flap. Chain 1, decrease single crochet, and then single crochet stitch. And this is we here at this point we have 2 stitches here, so we are going to be making the final stitch, which is simply you still need your threading chain, yeah. We simply decrease single crochet. Okay, and then you're going to fasten that off. I cut the yarn. So this is your first ear flap. And if you notice, there's a join here. So I would normally put the back of the hat. So I've decided that's the back of the hat. This is the front of the hat. Now, what I would do when I started this is I would just go put that ear flap right smack in the middle of the hat, and then fold the hat, sort of give it a sort of crease, and then flip the hat, and then make my other ear flap right here. Okay, so counting 10 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10. Now, nowadays, because I'm a bit more experienced, I know that the front of the hat should be slightly longer than the back of the hat. So, slightly move that a little bit, maybe a stitch or 2. And then look at where the stitches match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so somewhere here. Okay. And then you can make your second ear flap. Of course, you already cut your yarn. So what you need to do is you need to join it. Okay, this is how I join mine. So that's your yarn. Pull that through your first stitch. Okay, I'm holding it with my other hand. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through. And then you're going to work a single crochet stitch here. Okay. And then 9 more single crochet stitches because you need 10 single crochet stitch to begin your ear flap. And just keep doing that until you get your second ear flap. You do exactly the same thing except for the start, which is you join your yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like we did in our first ear flap, turn your work. Put the other ear flap out of the way. Chain 1, decrease, single crochet, and then do 8 single crochet or single crochet up to the end. Okay, and just keep doing that. Yeah. So turn your work, chain one, decrease, single crochet to the end. Okay. And then when I meet you back here again for our part three, you should be, you should already have your basic hat, which looks something like this. Only that instead of having just one ear flap, you should have two ear flaps. Okay. So this will be the front of the hat. You have one ear flap here and another ear flap here. Okay. So in part three, we're going to start making the cat's ears, and then we're going to put the edging. Okay. And I think for part four, last part, we'll be making the face of our cat hat. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.